And I have seen every last one of these characters in the highest ranks. And that's, I think, a testament to how the game is strong. Wolverine's still insane, dude. Like, just so good. If they have 2 tanks, like, you just get value out of Wolverine no matter what. The biggest tip I'll ever tell you about Wolverine, I never made a guide for him because I don't play him a lot, but I know this for a fact. When you're dashing with Wolverine and you're trying to go over a tank's head and you're like, why didn't that grab him? Wolverine's dash is a proximity-based situation. If you are close to them, whether you're in front of them and they're behind you and you dash this way, as long as you are on top of them within like a meter or 2, it'll pull them. Even if you are at any angle around them, his launch dash. She is back to being the best, in my opinion, the best DPS in the game. The reason brawl tanks like Thor and Thing are strong and got the buff is because they were buffing Poke. Poke's really good in the brawl, and Hela's insane now. So it makes the brawl pretty bad. The Thing and Thor really struggle into a good Hela. She can 4-tap brawl tanks. Not much else to be said. I'm hoping they take her down a notch. They shouldn't have buffed her again. She was in a good spot. Namor is undoubtedly the best anti-dive character in the game. He's banned all the time when you're going to go dive because when you don't have him to counter the dive, your team gets fucked up. Like Namor is super good, and the buff to his ice turrets with Luna is really good, and keeping him around against dive is just a necessity, and it's a pain in the ass when you don't have him, dude. Like, it's that simple. I want to put Moon Knight Ness because of his ult with Groot. The Groot combination is still obscene. Even Namor can do that. He can one-shot everybody through support ults with Groot. I think Punisher is as well, especially with a rocket. Punisher is really good right now. The tighter spread on all of his weapons makes him a threat of menace, and he carries lobbies. I think Bucky and Star-Lord are contenders up there as well, so I think I'll drop those 2 up there. What puts Bucky in that S is the pull. Yeah, the pull's gross. It's a tank buster. It's a displacement tool. It's one of the very few in the game besides Invis. And if you have a Bucky into an Invis and you pull them back twice, that character has to die. I will say Storm. Good hit scan is still really good into Storm, but Storm's positioning, she's pretty quick. Alt's still really, really good. It's a guaranteed support pull-out ultimate. The fire team-up's cool, but it's rare that it's ever going to happen. And it can burn through support ultimates, but it requires that Human Torch throws a ton of fireballs in the tornado. And honestly, Human Torch does enough work on itself. Psylocke's still up there in the top of A. I argue her ult's still good. I mean, this is what I'm confused about. When Psylocke's news, when the patch happened in season 1, and I need everybody to talk about this in the comments or right now. Psylocke's ult at the start of season 1, I swear to God, because I tested this. They said it gets impacted by Bulwark, which is Magneto's shield, his circle shield. And then they didn't say anything about Doctor Strange. But I went into the testing range, and she would rotate between Strange and Strange's shield back and forth when she ulted. But that no longer happens. Did they shadow take that away? She now no longer attacks Strange's shield. This is going to get people a little shook, but I just played with one of the best Iron Men I've ever seen in Celestial 1, and my man was saying how this is a slept-on character, and by the end of the season, we will all be putting him back in S. And I trust him based on what I saw him do. Then the buff to his right-click, no longer needing Hulk, does so much damage. It's essentially like having the Gamma team up without Hulk anymore. So they ban Hulk, and the guy says he doesn't care. He tore the lobby up. Like, actually tore the Celestial 1 lobby up with Iron Man. And honestly, like, I was kind of falling off Iron Man at the end of last season. I was like, I don't know if we need to ban Hulk because I'll play Hulk. And if they have an Iron Man, I'll just like jump and dive him out of the sky. Like, but I think Iron Man's like up there, dude, like up here. Magic, still A tier, really strong brawl character, can work with dive, pseudo tank, good into single tank comps, really good with the Thing too. The Thing buffing Magic is one of the most pseudo buffs to Magic of all time. Imagine a Magic who has dash, invulnerability frames, and 40% damage reduction running at your backhand front line 24/7. The Thing works really good with Magic. And Mr. Fantastic. He works really good with Mr. Fantastic too, which I think also helps Mr. Fantastic a lot. Well, I actually need to put Hawkeye up here. Hawkeye's still really good if you're good with him. Like, he can scooch you up depending on your ability to play him. He needs positioning out the wazoo now. He doesn't have a ton of range, but if you can hit your shots, if you really are patient and you hit your headshots, like, you can 2-tap tanks at 100 charge. Especially brawl tanks. Remember how I was telling you how it's really like, people are like, why are the Thor and the Thing not on your tier list, as high on your tank tier list? It's because of Hela and Hawkeye. He can literally 2-tap them with 100 charge. A tank. I mean, I've got to put Moon Knight in here. Moon Knight with Groot. Moon Knight with Groot is still an unstoppable combo. Moon Knight's, although they quote unquote nerfed it, if they're held down by Groot, every single fist now does 180 damage. Chat, one fist, 180, or is it 140? Either way, you're going to get hit by 2 of those in a Groot ult. I do think I still need to put Iron Fist in here. He's no longer a backline dive. He's a tank buster, and Iron Fist mains are starting to realize that. The percent damage with his punch combo, I want you to, before you guys jump on me for the Iron Fist, when you hear somebody say he's bad now, go into the training room, use your block ability one time, put a Groot, a Hulk, or the Thing on your test dummy. Use one block, then use a single, not even, you know how he goes, and then he'll like stop for a second to do it again? He will take out those tanks in a single rotation of these before he even has to stop to do it again. One will take out a tank. That's how good he is at busting tanks now. You might be saying that's bullshit. Not true. Just go test it. That's what Iron Fist mains. At first they were diving backline and they're like, he's ass. Like, I can't kill supports anymore. That's not what he's meant for anymore. He's Wolverine 2.0. Other ones that could sneak into A, I do think Human Torch is good. I think people sleep on him and don't understand him yet. I think he's really valuable. Great at area denial. His area shutdown's insane. His burst. If you throw 4 of those fire spots on the ground near a support and you dunk on the support, it'll instantly kill them. His range, like his shotgun at poke isn't great. His area denial is good, and his ult's really good at shutting down zones and making zones unplayable for teams. Like, you can really, like, his area denial is the best in the game. Like, you have to use him for that tool. That's all. That's what he does. Like, look at the ground, make sure certain parts of the ground are unplayable for the enemy. Forcing the enemy into different zones is very valuable. It's just, he's not going to get 1,000 final hit KOs all game like something like Storm could, but he's really good. The final DPS in the end of A, I'll put Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man didn't need the buff. I think Spider-Man's like highest skill cap character in the game. He gets enabled with Venom for the one shots, and he completely shuts down flyers, which is why flyers aren't an S at all. Any flyer in the game loses to Spider-Man. So that's why flyers can never be S. Because Spider-Man will just instantly counter them, and you need very little skill to do it. I don't play Spider-Man, but if you land a single right click, which I went in my first game on Spider-Man against a Storm, you right click one time, you press your E to instantly dash them, you press F, and then you press your Venom ability. You don't even have to aim, and they die. This is going to be controversial. I think the best B is Widow. I think Widow could be A if you need to have a Mantis or a Storm damage boosting you. Hey, Choppy, thank you for the tier 1, baby. Guys, welcome to all the new faces, man. I appreciate you. Let me explain this. Widow with a Mantis can one-shot any support in the game, including Cloak and Dagger while she's ulting, okay? If you're good enough at the game, at aiming, if you're a Valorant player, if you are somebody that was pixel clicking and that's all you did your whole life, she's the character for you. Like, there are people in Celestial that only play her. If they get enabled by, and there was one that just beat us on a Widow who was 20-0, stayed in the back a mile away, had Mantis standing right next to her, sleeping anyone that tried to dive her and damage boosting her off cooldown, and she was one-tapping us all the time. Just 24/7. Every support that walked out of spawn, instantly dead. Just was really good at hitting headshots, and then you win the game. But if you don't do that, if you aren't that good at hitting headshots and moving targets or people that are trying to snake the shit out of you, she's not that good. I think Panther is in B now, sadly. I think Panther's been slowly falling just with the subtle nerfs. He is just not, like, he doesn't have the one-shot combos as something like Spider-Man does. He gets super countered by Namor and Loki. Loki really bodies him. And Thing's pretty good into him, because what people struggle with the Thing is they use, so listen to this, guys. The Thing, when you dive back on somebody diving your backline, you know how when you put that zone down, that circle, it makes it so they can't use movement abilities? The problem with the Thing mains, including myself, is initially I was jumping and putting that on Panther. It would bop him up into the sky, and it would get him far enough away from the circle, or at least in a different location, that he'd be able to use his movement ability. What you need to do with the Thing is you need to ally jump back with your embattled leap, and then ground pound on top of your ally. When the Panther dives at that ally, he will land on the circle and then be enabled to dash back. That's how you catch him. All right? Like, you don't put it on somebody. You put it on a zone. That's what you got to think of it. I think Fantastic is good. I think Fantastic gets a lot better. I think Fantastic has a lot. He's good with one tank comps. I only want a Fantastic on my team when we have a solo mag or something like that. And he's really good if you do that. Or a solo Thing now, because the Thing enables Fantastic to have another 30% damage reduction while he gets all this shielding. And that makes Fantastic really good. I like how they did that. The Fantastic Four actually play really well together. Johnny kind of does his own thing, but the three of them are really good together. Like, getting an additional shield from Invis, 100 shield on both of them, and then having Thing play off Fantastic as your front line is actually really strong. Like, not bad at all. A pretty good comp, and I could see them playing together at a higher level as people start understanding how to play him with the thing. The thing giving damage reduction to him off cooldown and then playing on top of him and just trying to destroy whatever frontline Fantastic's annoying with the team. They both have team hitting damage at the same time. They all hit everybody in a zone, both of them. So it's just a lot of damage in a lot of zone. It's just annoying to handle. I think Squirrel's pretty good now. Squirrel's ult, very annoying. Please shoot the squirrels. Best takeaway from Squirrel Girl. Priority 1, when she launches her ultimate, stop fighting whoever you're fighting. Please kill the squirrels. They have 300 HP. They are a squishy target. If the team bursts them, it isn't a problem. But if she launches that in a tight zone, it will literally wipe your team now. I think Wanda got better with the buff. She's actually pretty good into dive, but there's very few players that can play her effectively. She gets destroyed by hit scan, and hit scan's super strong. She's slow. She has that ability to move away. She's really good into, like, I'd say she's really good into those dive comps. Like if you have like the Panther, like she also is really good into Panther. Like the Panther and, you know what I mean? Like Panther Magic, for example, people that struggle a little bit with getting up in the sky, like she's really good into them, but hit scans destroy her still. But she's good into certain dive. Like she's not great into all dive though, because Spider-Man still messes her up. So it's kind of tricky. She's just like not quite there yet. I see what they're trying to do with Wanda, and she's very close. And some people play her at a very high level. Everybody of these characters get played at a high level. That's why the max I go down is B tier, because all of them have playtime in top 500. Because we played against, and this needs to be said, we played against the #1 Penny, number 7 in the world, and we just got the VOD. We'll be watching this today. And they play Penny as a DPS. They ask, like this person who is, like I said, number 7 in the world, they ask their team to still have 2 additional tanks. And they play away from their team the entire game. They play at a weird off angle that you're like, why the fuck are they over there? And they constantly zone that area near a health pack, on top of a health pack. They mine up an area. They put mines all over the place. They zone it with their mine spawner so that no one can see it without taking a risk. And they hold that zone and they poke. And anyone who chases them, they lose a ton of resources and they die. Let's do one-liners real quick for everybody. Hella, strongest DPS in the game by far. They brought her back to being able to 2-tap any squishy at range. Can essentially 4-tap any brawl tank. 4-tap any brawl tank, which is why the Thing and Thor got buffed, but the buff's not enough to stop Hela from taking them out. If Hela has good enough aim, she destroys them. Wolverine's still incredible. He struggles a bit with the Thing, but outside of that, any 2 tank comps, Wolverine will always fit in if they're good with Wolverine. Wolverine can just melt tanks, right? Just that's what he does. Any 2 tank comp makes him have a ton of value. Namor, the best anti-dive character, one of the only anti-dive characters in the game. People ban him virtually every game that they're going to play dive, because if you have the Luna Namor combo, it makes diving really difficult. And when you get rid of it, it makes diving pretty easy if you're coordinated. Punisher is just, they buffed his damage. They got rid of some of the spread. His shotgun is devastating up close into the brawl heroes. His range is insane, and with a rocket, he can hard carry games. He counters Groot with rocket, and Groot is probably one of the best, if not the best tank in the game right now, because of how strong his ultimate is, combination with Namor and Moon Knight. Bucky's great. You guys all know Bucky's a pain in the ass. His pull is game winning. Does a ton of damage, and his ultimate is a final hit machine. Star-Lord, a similar story. Very pokey, very annoying. Ultimate's really strong. It forces out support ults. If you don't use a support ult, your team dies. Storm is a flyer, which is why she's not top tier, because things like Spider-Man can just guaranteed counter her immediately without any skill. Storm is still really strong. Iron Man got a big buff. Played with one of the top Iron Man in Celestial 1 yesterday, and he opened my eyes to how Iron Man's right click now doesn't need the Gamma buff anymore. It's that good. And Iron Man is fast and a pain in the ass. Psylocke's still really good. They got rid of the fact that like her ult would attack Strange Shield, which is weird to me. They made her pretty good again. I don't know when. That was like a shadow change they made. Ult's still really good. You got to be skillful with her, but she has a ton of burst damage. Magic's good. They did nerf her. Magic's still always going to be good. A ton of survivability. A pseudo tank. Plays really well with the Thing as a brawl tank. She really enables brawl comps well, because she's so distracting, and she's good. She can be really good. Hawkeye's still incredible. Destroys brawl tanks similar to Hela, which is why he just like he 2-taps the Thing at 100 charge. Actually 2-taps him. Moon Knight ult's still great. The change didn't really matter. When there's a Groot ult on the ground, Moon Knight will still insta kill the entire team. Now Iron Fist is now no longer a backline dive character. He's Wolverine 2.0. He does percent damage. He can kill tanks with 1 rotation of his punches. Literally 1 rotation now. Before he even reloads his arms. Before he hits them with the Henry Cavill, he just and before the end of the first spree, the tank is dead. Go test it in the training room. Really good area denial, best area denial in the game, but doesn't have much else yet. His ult's pretty good too. Spider-Man, they buffed him. The best into flyers, shuts down flyers more than anyone in the game can. You don't really need a lot of skill. You need to hit one ability and then the flyer dies. Squirrel Girl got a big buff, really strong, really good into brawl, really good into shields. Struggles a bit into poke, but in poke strong, so that's her downside. That's why she's still in lower A. We talked about Penny. We played the number 1 Penny. He told me that she needs to be a DPS. You still need 2 tanks. You never play with your team with Penny. You're playing your own game, and you can play the game good if you play Penny like that. We'll watch that game today. Can one-tap any support in the game with a Mantis buff. If Mantis is pocketing this character, and this character is somebody that has been playing shooters for a long time and is nasty at things like Valorant, then this character shoots way up to S tier because she can one-tap anybody in the backline and any DPS in the game now. Panther's been getting slowly nerfed as they have increased and added new characters. Panther struggles the most into a Namor and Loki out of the other dive characters like Venom, Cap, and Spider-Man. And so he's just been slowly getting hurt. And the thing impacts him the most because as long as you throw your AoE denial on the support he's trying to dive, as they dash towards that support, he will no longer be able to dash away and you kill him. Mr. Fantastic, honestly, is better as in a solo tank comp. So as a DPS, I just keep him in B because it's tricky to have a conversation around. He's a lot better with the Thing now because the Thing giving him that damage reduction as well as his shield gain is obscene. They're trying to make her anti-dive, but she struggles super bad into poke right now. And poke is very strong, so that's why she's in bottom of B, but she is still strong.